She looks so cute.
Thank you.
You know, the cutest ones are the worst.
Lips are deceiving, no?
Yeah, my
All
cutest
right.
one is right behind me, plotting something as we speak.
We can't see you, Angel.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm smiling, sort of. I'm kind of slumped on one arm.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry
can't
you're
hold the
feeling
laptop
bad.
up with just the one arm, so it's just kind of like, you know, listing. But I'm here.
Gotcha.
It's the main thing.
Okay, yes, that is definitely
Stacey.
the main thing. Stacey
I
signing
got some
on.
good
Hi,
questions for you
Stacey.
guys too. You're gonna love them.
Wonderful. Okay,
Hi,
so
Stacey.
with that, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And I wanted to welcome Lawrence. Hi, Lawrence. And
Yay!
some of you may not know Lawrence, but he's a longtime Expressions Unlimited. And Lawrence, if you just wouldn't mind just saying hello and kind of just telling the group, some of us that are new, don't know you, so just a quick hello would be great.
Tips and tricks. Keep it simple.
There you go.
Let's
Maybe you
see.
could just say one thing about why you like Expressions Unlimited.
Most casual meeting. They meet on Friday afternoon, close to the beach.
Lawrence
You
is
can't
really
beat
funny. He rides a bicycle. He loves the beach. He teaches and he rides a tricycle.
Great. And the one thing that he mentioned before some of us signed on is that he practices a lot of the tips and tricks that he's learned from Expressions Unlimited on a daily basis in his personal life as well as in work.
Right.
So,
I've got, I'm doing guest speaker things with the sociology and criminology departments at CSU San Marcos and at Palomar.
Wow,
So.
great.
Awesome. Great. Well, we're glad to see you. And I am going to just have a couple things I want to mention. Tomorrow is the last day of the Toastmaster Leadership Institute. So if you want to attend, you can go ahead and sign up online, and you should have received an email from Toastmasters. If you have not and you want to register, let me know and I'll be happy to send you the link. It starts at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Also, evaluation questions. As we listen to the speeches today, let's try to go back to our original evaluation questions we used to have when we had the form. I'm going to go ahead and cut and paste those questions in the chat box as soon as I'm done here. And third thing I want to mention is start thinking about speech contests. We are going to have speech contests. We're not sure what date yet. It'll either be sometime in August or September, but start thinking about it. And especially if you haven't done it before, challenge yourself. It'll be a great learning experience. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Devin, our Toastmaster today. Oh, also, Lawrence, we do this for the shaking hands for the clapping hands, and you already know what that means. Okay, Devin.
Thank you, Deanna. Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. So before we officially begin, we do have a little housekeeping because we have a few roles that were not filled in yet. And one last minute, Debbie had a family emergency, so she had to step away. So we need an AW counter, the chat monitor / ballot counter, and a watcher for today. So almost everybody I think has a role at this point. So we might have to double up unless anybody can volunteer to be AW counter.
I can do any of those roles if you need someone.
Okay, would you mind taking the AW counter?
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
Shall I be a watcher? Because I love looking at you all, even though I'm not there. I'll be looking at you.
I mean, if you can take that on with table topics, if it's not too much.
Yeah, I'll be watching. That's fine.
Okay. Watching, but not watched. It's an interest.
Exactly.
Okay. Is anybody else hearing the beeping? Is that coming from my computer? Does anybody have any idea what that is? That's so weird. Okay. All right, so we just need a chat monitor and ballot counter. Well, I guess I can do the.
I can do the
You
check
want-
monitor and ballot
I can
counter.
be ballot counter.
You
Okay.
probably shouldn't be ballot counter if you're the speaker.
Yeah.
We'll have Deanna do it.
Yeah, we got a little biased voting.
But thank you. Okay, so we'll give that to Deanna. All right. So here is our agenda for today. So the theme of the day is Power of Music, and Angel's going to lead us in a table topics that will also be talking about music and
We're
people.
seeing your screen.
You're seeing my screen, but not the agenda?
Correct. We see beautiful flowers and that's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty. Yeah.
Let's try it again.
Now we see you. It's just real pretty.
How about now?
Flowers.
Still flowers.
Still flowers.
That is so bizarre. Okay.
You have to select, don't you, the thing you want to see from a list. Can you see the list?
Yeah, so it's full on my screen.
It doesn't matter whether you can see it. It matters whether you've clicked the thing.
Yeah,
you
I know,
want.
I know. I know.
Okay, I just thought maybe that had gone wrong.
So
Evan, you want me to
Okay,
try to
well-
do it?
it's fine.
Oh.
We'll just skip ahead.
Okay.
So to go over the roles quickly, Angel is our table topics master for today. Lisa will be the counter. Deanna is our grammarian. Stacy is the timer. Lucille is the general evaluator. Deanna will be the chat monitor and ballot counter, and Angel will be our watcher. We have two great speakers, Anita and Pat. Jesse and Jerry are our evaluators for today. So just real quick on the theme of the day, I wanted to talk about music. I think music has a lot of power over our emotions, and it really can help us through that. And we all have different tastes and preferences. I'm a huge Broadway fan, and I know a lot of people think musicals are a little silly sometimes when people break into song. But I think what it does is illustrates the power of conveying emotion through music, because sometimes we don't have the words for what we're feeling, but we can turn on our favorite song in whatever category, whether we're feeling joyful or melancholy or even angry. You probably have kind of a go-to jam that you can turn on in any of those situations. So I love music, and I'm looking forward to Angel's questions to hear a little more about what everybody else thinks of music. So we'll have that coming up. So at this point, we don't have a joke master for today, so we're going to go straight into the speeches. Anita is our first speaker of the day. The title of her speech is "But They Said It on the Radio, a Story of Passion and Fine Wine." She's working on Pathways Level 1, Project 3, Researching and Presenting. So the objective of her speech was to learn and review researching techniques and present a well-organized speech on any topic. For the timer, it's 5 to 7 minutes. So please help me welcome Anita.
Thank you, Devin. Do you believe everything that you hear on the radio? The announcer said the very first commercial winery in the United States was in Vista. That really caught me, but still I kind of latched on to that little bit of trivia, and I even repeated it in conversation. But I figured that this would be a good opportunity to investigate. I didn't have to go very far because according to the Vista Historical Society, the Delphi family started the first commercial winery in Vista in 1879. And it turns out that that was 22 years after the first commercial winery was started in California. The Delphi family labeled their wine Buena Vista Vineyard. And they were very successful until Prohibition. But the first commercial winery in California was Buena Vista Winery in Sonoma. And the more that I learned about them and read, I became really intrigued with their story. Their founder was Agustin Harsti, but he liked to be called the Count. And he immigrated to Wisconsin in 1840 from Hungary. He was an expert in viticulture and viniculture. And his passion was fine wine. He became a successful businessman, but Wisconsin was just so cold. So California at the time was the place to be. It had become a territory of the United States, and also gold had been discovered at Sutter's Mill. And so the Count was not interested in finding gold, but he was interested in finding the perfect property for a vineyard. His vision and his passion was to bring the fine wine industry to California. So he moved to San Diego. Why San Diego? It makes perfect sense if you think about it. The first winery, the first vineyard in California was planted at the Mission in San Diego so that they would have wine for communion. And the Mission grape became very popular, grew very well in Southern California, and little vineyards kind of popped up everywhere. So the Count planted his small vineyard in Mission Valley, but he worked in San Diego, and he became San Diego's first sheriff, a marshal. And then when California was admitted into the United States in 1850, he was voted in as a state assemblyman. So as a state assemblyman, he traveled all over the state, and he became enamored with San Francisco. His vineyard in Mission Valley wasn't doing very well. It wasn't just living up to his expectations. So he, in 1852, he moved to San Francisco, planted a small vineyard near the Mission, and he started a business in the city. He started an assay office. He became so successful with his business that he became the first chief assayer for the San Francisco Mint. And even though he was so successful in his business, his vision and his passion was to bring fine wine to California. So he found a piece of property, 800 acres in Sonoma, and it was called Buena Vista. In 1856, he moved to Buena Vista. It was perfect. It had everything that you need to have a vineyard to produce grapes that you can make fine wine from. So only a year later, he opened his doors for business, the Buena Vista Winery in Sonoma. Now, he was impassioned and enthusiastic, and so he talked about vineyards and growing grapes and making fine wine to everybody who would listen. And several of his friends actually became vintners and are still in business today. He was so excited. He did a grand trip over to Europe and brought back 100,000 cuttings of almost 500 different varieties. He wrote a book that became the handbook for the wine industry at the time. And he's credited with helping to start and grow the wine business in California so that by 1900, California was known worldwide to produce outstanding wines. That is until Prohibition, and that's another story. So I think about this announcer. He could have said, yes, Buena Vista Winery in Sonoma was the very first commercial winery in California. And he would have been exactly right, but I wouldn't have taken any notice. I'm not really interested, and I probably wouldn't even remember today that I even heard that. And I would have missed out on this truly interesting, compelling story about passion and your dreams, about risk and taking chances and overcoming objections and focus and following your path to your goals. A story that's an inspiring and important today as it was 150 years ago. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. That was fantastic. And I have to say, you come up with the best speech titles. So we now have 1 minute to write the evaluation for Anita. Deanna has put the questions to guide your evaluation in the chat box. So please take a minute to do that. You have about 15 more seconds to wrap it up. Great, thank you. Our next speaker is Pat. He is working on Pathways Level 2, Project 3, which is on mentorship. And the goal of the speech is to talk about a time when you were a protege and share the impact and importance of having a mentor in your life. And the title is Mentorship. So please help me welcome Pat.
Let me tell you about mentorship. I'm going to tell you about a few mentors that I've had that have had a great impact on my public speaking and my life. I'll also explain some of the qualities of a good mentor. First of all, a mentor has to have good snacks. I prefer chips over vegetables. Just kidding. A mentor has to have 3 main qualities. Has to be a good listener, it has to build trust, and they have to have humility. Now, let me back up for a second. Some people confuse coaching with mentoring. Pathways in Toastmasters explains that coaching is more of a short-term, specific behaviors that someone might want to work on. A coach can help them with maybe like eye contact or body language. A mentor is more a long-term development of certain behaviors. They want to help with their performance, in their life, provides guidance and, based on their needs. Again, the 3 main qualities of a mentor are someone who is a good listener, someone who can build trust, and someone who has humility. Well, being a good listener takes time. The mentor has to be available. The mentee also has to make a commitment to spend quality time, not just a half hour a week. Mentorship is not something that's done to you. It's something you do for yourself with the help of other people. That self part is about personal development, being personally accountable for your growth. A good teacher or a mentor knows that communication is 1/2 listening and 1/2 instruction. So they know what questions to ask you. What can I do for you? What's holding you back from getting better? And how can I help? So I had a mentor. I still have a mentor. His name's Todd. He's this older East Coast Borscht Belt Jersey boy forget about it. And he recommends that I do some daily practices like meditation, journaling, specific readings. And at one point he asked me, hey, did you do your reading? And I told him, oh, I gave my book to a friend. They were interested in learning about that. So he asked me, maybe you want to help others to avoid working on yourself. So that was a tough question. And I had to, bite my lip and say, yeah, maybe I need to look at my commitment more closely. So they encourage you, which brings me to my second trait, building trust. A mentor is able to listen non-judgmentally. So to build trust, you also have to define what your expectations are. When you have a definition, then you have an expectation. Are you trying to change a specific behavior? Are you trying to improve your personal life, your professional life? Do you just want to have coffee with someone? You have to be clear about what types of support you want, and then then ask for it. Ask for access to that. The mentor may have resources like podcasts, books. I recently watched a TED talk he described mentorship, building trust, as like a man and a dog. The dog brings the ball to the man throws the ball. That's the mentor bringing a question to the mentee. He throws out the answer, and they run and go take off with it and see how it works. Sometimes they never come back. Sometimes they come back and they say, hey, I learned this, what do you think about that? They throw out another answer. And I had another mentor named Gail. He's this Filipino, young, hip hop, really enthusiastic guy. He was able to mentor me on eye contact, on calming down, on having a good opening to my speech. He was really helpful. He taught me, to adjust my behavior with encouragement. I had another mentor named Tim. He's kind of this old sailor, Irish German. He drives a tugboat for a job. He's really gruff. And he would ask me questions like, what's your biggest fears? Aside from public speaking, I said death. And he had a very insightful comment. He said, maybe you're afraid of the old part of you dying, the fearful Pat, and afraid of the new, more conscious, more self-aware, joyful Pat, coming out. So that made me look at myself differently. It made me challenge my thinking. So asking for a mentor may seem scary. You're being vulnerable. It's a sign of humility though, because you're saying I'm worthy of help. So it takes humility for a mentor also to share their wisdom, to give examples of their struggles, their mistakes. It makes them human. And they know that not everyone grows at the same pace. When you make mistakes, they point out your good choices and your hard work. They explain, they're asking these questions because they care about you. They want you to become a fuller version of yourself. So in closing, by listening, building trust, and having humility, a mentor leads and inspires other people. So we're blessed with so many great speakers here, Devin, Deanna, Angel, Paul, Corey, everyone has a lot of wisdom and knowledge in this group. So I wanted to encourage our new members to maybe ask for a mentor, and our older members to reach out to offer to share some of that experience. Not only does it reinforce your skills, and forces you to kind of lead by example, because you're not just helping them, you're helping yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Excellent job. Thank you for sharing the personal experiences and a good reminder for us all. So 1 minute to write your evaluation for Pat. You can either share it in the chat, or if you want to email him, that works too. Okay, 15 seconds to wrap it up. All right. So at this point, we'd like Stacy to give us a timer's report on the 2 speakers.
Anita was 6 minutes and 10 seconds, which she qualified, and Pat went over to 7 minutes and 40 seconds. So I believe he went over.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. So for voting purposes, Anita is our speaker, our qualified speaker of the day. So now we'd like to introduce Lucille, who will introduce our 2 evaluators for the day. So please help me welcome our general evaluator, Lucille.
Thank you, Devin. It is my pleasure to introduce our evaluator for today. The first one who will be evaluating Anita is Jessie. So please help me welcome Jessie.
Jesse, you're muted.
I just had to find the button. Thank you. And thank you, Anita, for such a fine speech today. You had great eye contact and you had great energy, and the whole speech was very well organized, nicely researched, and what a fantastic topic. The whole wine history, what a great story. And to know about the Buena Vista winery and the history of those vineyards, and that he had really a long trail of life, and you presented that very well. And the fact that he never let go of his goal and succeeded very beautifully, all for our benefit. I thought that you did a great job also in selecting your title, and but they said it's on the radio, and the passion of fine wine. And I thought you captured that very well. I wanted to say too that kind of long history of wine might want to bring in like a personal experience of your own, of something that happened to you that might relate to the story that you're conveying. And other than that, I just thought it was a great speech, and you have a really great way of presenting yourself. And I know that even more comfort and more relaxation will grow as you give more speeches. So keep up the good work, and congratulations on finishing level 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessie. Our second evaluator, who will be evaluating Pat, is Jerry. Please help me welcome Jerry.
Thank you, Lucille. Pat, it was a great job. I love the topic of talking about mentorship. I think it's something that has been very helpful to me. I know I've had some mentors, and It's made a huge difference in my life in terms of my business and self-improvement. I liked you had some organization to it. You talked about listening, trust, humility. I think you had that. I would have liked to seen that expanded a little bit, maybe talked about the importance of the listening, trust, and humility, going through each one maybe a little bit more. I thought your conclusion was excellent. I like the part where you brought the mentorship back to Toastmasters and actually talked about having a mentor in Toastmasters, having a recommendation that other people should get a mentor, and that was very good. I thought that was a nice conclusion, and it also made it a little more real and practical for the people that were listening to you at the time. Mentorship, I think the other point you did talk about was that a mentor is a teacher. I would have liked to have seen you expand on that a little bit more about the teacher aspect of it, because really a lot of people, that's how they learn. It used to be in the old days we had apprentices and a master, and that's really this has been going on forever. That's how people learn. But I would like to see a little more emphasis on the teaching aspect of being a mentor. But all in all, I thought it was a great speech, and I did especially like the conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. I'm now turning over the meeting to our Toastmaster, Devin.
Thank you. All right, Stacy, can we get a timer's report for our evaluators, please?
Yes, both evaluators qualified with 1:43 for Jesse and 1:08 for Jerry.
Perfect, thank you. So if you want to take a second and send your vote for best evaluator to Deanna in the private chat, that would be great. And now it is time for table topics. So please help me welcome Angel, who's kind of the voice from above today.
Voice from above. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to my little show. No, just kidding. I want to apologize that I cannot write anything for votes or evaluations today because I have my arm in a sling. But I do have questions for you all about music. And so my first question is about the Eagles. Is there anyone who doesn't like the Eagles? Come on. So the big classic hit seems apt to begin with, Hotel California. You can sing it, or you can tell us a memory, something it reminds you of. I'm sure everybody has one. And if you would like the question, please raise your hand. Megan, you're first. Please tell us all about the Eagles and Hotel California. Unmute yourself.
Yes, the Eagles were before my time, but, well, it's before all of our time, but in trivia, I love to do trivia with my husband. We do that all the time. But one of the most played songs, I guess in all radio stations, or just the most, I don't know, the most played song is Hotel California. And so it was sort of funny that that is in your question. I think that Hotel California, and I really don't know that many Eagles songs. I think that, well, the Beatles are out, or I'm more familiar with the Beatles and then the songs of the Eagles.
Do you want to sing us a little bit of Beatles because you still have a little bit of time? Go on.
When I'm 64.
Thank you, Megan. Wicked. That's a very melodious song, the Eagles. I forgot to mention that the word of the day is melodious, meaning it's pleasant sound.
Oh.
You might see that in your chat. Try to use it if you can.
All right.
And since you mentioned the Beatles,
I might not have used it, but I sang, so that was melodious.
So I'm going to ask about the Beatles since you asked me next. If somebody has a favorite Beatles song or Beatles memory, there are a million of them, of course, please raise your hand if you would like to address that question. or I will pick someone. Lawrence, yes, unmute yourself.
Well, I've got to go with Yellow Submarine. That's definitely one of the more melodious sounding songs that I can remember. And in 1984, I was serving on board the USS Philadelphia. We were in Roosevelt Roads, Puerto Rico. And myself, the rest of the guys in my division, and all the torpedomen, we went up to the Marines drinking establishment and fed the jukebox about $20 worth of quarters, playing Yellow Submarine over and over and over and over again, while we commenced to sing along in not such a melodious tone and drink them out of beer.
Excellent, Lawrence. Thank you. I wonder if we shouldn't end our meeting with a rousing chorus of Yellow Submarine. I'll leave that up to our Toastmaster. Thank you for that wonderful response. I'm going to ask another question now. I'm going to ask about Michael Jackson. Whatever else he was the top producer and creator and singer and performer of music in the US and around the world for many, many years. And one of the songs that comes to mind for me is Beat It. Does anyone have a memory of Beat It, or would like to choose their memory of Michael Jackson music? In particular, I know that you all know Thriller. Who would like that question? I'm going to choose Devon. Thank you, Devon.
So a few years ago, we went to Vegas and we saw the Cirque du Soleil show based around his music, which I think was called One.
Sounds about right.
Can't remember it now. It was amazing. I mean, if you've seen any Cirque du Soleil shows, you know, like what they can do with a story around, you know, the melodious tunes. And he had a lot of hits. So it wasn't so much about him. They just took kind of the lyrics from the show and made this story and weaved it all together. And it was really amazing to see. Plus all the acrobatics on top of it was just amazing. And I think the most interesting part was that people in Vegas think they want like the front row, but we found out for Cirque du Soleil shows, you really want more like the mezzanine because of the like the crazy vertical stuff they were doing. It's actually, you had a much better view being higher up. So if you go to Vegas, that's just a little tip for those shows.
Thank you, Devon. Round of applause for Devon. Would you like to sing us a bar of a Michael Jackson number? No, she'd rather not. Okay, I don't blame you. Let's move on then. Everybody knows Queen. And to be more precise, everybody knows Bohemian Rhapsody, right? Does anyone have a personal memory, not necessarily headbanging in a car, of the movie, the band, the music, or the song Bohemian Rhapsody? Please raise up your hand if you want that question. I'm gonna give it to Jessie. Go ahead, Jessie, unmute.
Thank you. Well, thanks for that question. When I was in college, I was given this little extra job. We got paid. And what we did was we went into this little training session. And it was going to be on telling freshmen, people that just coming into college, that they should use condoms, and, you know, because HIV was such a big thing and spreading like wildfire right then. And I remember I did that, and it was really a rewarding experience. And I used Bohemian Rhapsody as my entry song as the kids were coming into the classroom and sitting down. And therefore they listened to what I had to say about being safe and having safe sex and the things of HIV. And it was also an education about being gay as well, and be more accepting of gay people. And so overall, it was really cool, and it was a really cool song to have. And I've always loved the Queen and their music. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Jessie.
And it was so melodious all the time.
It was melodious, yes it was. And so were you. You answered that question so beautifully. And thanks for telling us about it. All right, my favorite artists were and are David Bowie and Prince. We lost them both in the same year, just a few months apart. They both had such a huge catalogue of incredible music and style that I wouldn't know where to begin. But perhaps one of you has a favorite song of Prince or David Bowie. Would you like to tell us any memories or feelings that you have? Raise up your hand. I'm going to ask Pat. Go ahead, Pat. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I used to love David Bowie. I remember, I think my favorite song is that, God, he's got so many good ones, like Major Tom. Well, I like that one, Ashes to Ashes. It's just like, I don't know how he came up with these lyrics. It's just so amazing. I remember when we were in junior high, I lived in like University City, like I think it's called like La Jolla now, but we would walk or skateboard all the way over to UCSD because there was a little record store and they sold pins. Let me show you. I still have it right here. It's like a little pin of David Bowie. And we would get them and like wear them, like in the 80s. And yeah, he just had such melodious songs and lyrics and vocals. I mean, the Ziggy Stardust stuff was just amazing. I don't know any artists that have been able to just, go through the decades and stay, in popular music. So he was a real, Renaissance man, I guess you'd say. Like he just was able to transcend, different genres and stuff. So that's what I liked about him.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you so much for that. I was going to go on to ask about Phil Collins, another of my favorite artists. He used to play drums with Genesis, and then he came out and he was pretty big on his own. I'm looking to see if anyone's nodding. Oh, you might not know his work so much. I might want to ask you about Elvis Presley instead. So if anybody knows about Genesis, Phil Collins, Elvis Presley, or any other old favorites, what old favorites do you still love to listen to? I think I'm going to ask Lisa this question. Tell us about all your old favorites, if you can think of any right now, Lisa.
Hi, Angel. Thank you for this topic because you're taking me way back in memory lane where so much of this music was melodious. And I remember so much of this music, especially Queen and who else did you mention? Michael Jackson, David Bowie. I have an old Datsun 510 I bought when I was a very young Lance Corporal in the Marine Corps. I saved and saved and saved, and I bought this car, and I remember buying it in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and I couldn't drive it because it was a stick. So I learned how to drive it there in the parking lot with a friend of mine. His name was Mobley. He taught me how to drive it, and I remember driving it with my cassette, coming in the front gate at Camp Lejeune, listening to all these great artists, and I ended up with the stick, jamming it right there at the front gate, and I think I got a warning or a ticket my first time driving that car. But going back to Elvis Presley, I like Elvis Presley. I like his music. But then the more I learned, Elvis Presley appropriated a lot of music from great Black artists who truly deserve the credit for the blues and a lot of the R&B, a lot of the things that Elvis Presley got credit for because he was a really good-looking white guy. And I still like Elvis Presley. I'm not going to take that away from him, but I wish that more credit would go to those authentic old-time blues singers, which is my favorite genre of music in the world. Regarding Phil Collins, I've always liked Phil Collins and Genesis. I think everybody you brought up today, righteous music.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lisa. I'm going to go to Jerry next. I know Jerry likes a lot of different kinds of music, all the way from, I don't know, Pink Floyd to Beyonce, I'm sure. But I want you to tell us, would you prefer a show tune, a jazz number, some pop, rock, R&B, maybe some soul, goth, or punk music? Or do you have a favorite country artist you can give us a blast of, Jerry?
Thank you, Angel. My favorite music, I would say, is just rock and roll. I used to really love to go see all these different bands when they came out. I would have a group of friends that we would sneak into concerts. We very rarely paid. We had a whole method to get into concerts for free when I was young. And I do remember seeing Pink Floyd. You mentioned that they had a big show called The Wall. And I saw that when I was living in Cleveland years ago, and a lot of pyrotechnics, and Pink Floyd was a favorite of anybody that did psychedelics, and there was a lot of psychedelic people there. So that was a big error in its time. It's kind of past now, you know. But the melodiousness of Pink Floyd, it has a certain real mellowness at times, and it's very, very well received, and it was a very unusual band in a genre by itself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jerry. I'm trying to get to everyone. I hope I have time. Stacy, I know you're the timer, but I also know your favorite song is Blackbird Singing in the Dead of Night by the Beatles. But I'm going to ask you about another British artist, another melodious number, Elton John and Candle in the Wind. What can you tell us about it? Are there any memories associated with that song for you?
Oh my goodness, I still have the Yellow Brick Road album. And I would say of all the hundreds and hundreds of albums that I still have, the Yellow Brick Road is probably one of the most loved albums of all of them, because every song that he wrote was a great song. And a lot of times you'll buy an album with a whole lot of songs on it, and you might only buy it because there's one or two songs you liked. But Elton John had a knack for being a really good songwriter and a really good musician. And there was just such variety in all his songs. He never sang the same melody twice. He was very melodious, and he was very creative. And then that movie came out, I guess it was last year, Rocket Man. And I highly recommend that you see Rocket Man, because Rocket Man really tells the story, and he's not dead yet. So I think it's really kind of neat when they do a story about somebody who's still alive, and that he's willing to expose his vulnerability of being an alcoholic and a druggie, and just his whole story was just really intriguing. So I highly recommend it, and he's always going to be in my heart.
Wonderful, wonderful. I don't know how you timed yourself at the same time. That was very impressive as well, Stacey. Thank you. You may know that was rewritten for the funeral of Princess Diana when she passed.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes about what music I would want to be played at my funeral. What music would you want people to hear? And if anyone has a thought about the music they would like to be remembered by, we only have a couple of people left. We have Anita and Lucille. Which of you would like to tell me? Anita, go ahead.
Thank you. What music would I like to have played at my funeral? Is this the question? I haven't really thought about it, but I think when I pass, I would like it to be a celebration. And I would like some celebratory but melodious music played. Something like the tune Happy, or I don't remember the name of the song, the Louis Armstrong song.
It's a Wonderful World.
Yes, yes, something like that. Or maybe a compilation of them all. I love the music. I love Simple, and I love the Somewhere Over the Rainbow by, and I can't even say his name, but you know who I'm talking about. But also I'm into jazz and blues, so anything jazzy and bluesy also. I say let's have a New Orleans style celebration and just march down the street, just playing whatever. That would be what I would wish for. Thank you.
I absolutely love it. Thank you very, very much, Anita. Do I have time, Mistress Toastmaster, for Lucille to get a question?
I think we're at time.
We're at time? Okay, I have a whole pile. Next time then.
But thank you, and very impressive getting through 4, 5, 6, 9 of the 12 of us. So that was excellent.
You're lucky I didn't ask you about the Spice Girls.
Oh, see, that was my childhood.
Oh, there you go. You could lead us in a rousing chorus at the.
All right, so let's start with the timer report for table topics. Stacy, did everyone qualify?
Everybody qualified and everybody stayed within the time, so nobody ran over.
Perfect. And Deanna, did everyone use the word of the day?
Everybody used it except for Megan, but then I didn't really.
Yeah, I think we give her a pass because we didn't.
Yeah, because I really
didn't tell
didn't
anybody.
her. Yeah, and Jessie said it after she's finished speaking. I don't know if you count that.
She snuck it in there. All right, so you can send your vote to Deanna. So a reminder, your choices are Megan, Lawrence, Devin, Jessie, Pat, Lisa, Jerry, Stacy, and Anita. So send Deanna your vote, please.
I also need a speaker votes too.
Yes, if you have Anita, Anita was the only one that qualified. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Okay. All righty.
Do you need a little time to count that? Should we save your grammarian report for the end? Okay, let's go to Lisa with the awe counter report first. Then.
Okay, Devin, you had 2 that I caught. 1, you know. Anita, none on your speech, but then with the table topics, you had 2 ahs. Pat, you spoke a lot today. I have 7 or ahs, and then your pet word seems to be you know, which I had 8 of those. 1 Xerox. Jessie, I had 1 ah. Jerry, 1, not on your evaluation, but on your table topics, 1 ah. Angel, nothing. Megan, 3 Lawrence, 1 ah, pause. And Stacy, 1 on tabletop.
Great, thank you. And Lucille, if you wouldn't mind giving the general evaluator report now, so we give Deanna a couple extra minutes to do the ballot.
Happy to. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Great meeting. I love the table topics, Angel. That was really great question, and I love hearing all of your answers. And I'm not very good with music. I can't remember, but anyway, every one of you, I learned so much. For the evaluators, both evaluators did a really good job doing the sandwich technique, and you pointed out the positive with the great examples of what they're doing, and also put out what they could improve, such as like Jerry wanted Pat to expand on certain things. So both of you pointed out specific stuff that they can improve on, which is really great, and that would help them. And then you wrap it up with a positive again. So good sandwich technique in giving the evaluation, and you made sure that you are addressing the objectives of their project. The other one is all of the functionaries. It was very good, excellent job in doing it. Devin, thank you so much. Great as a Toastmaster. You did send us the agenda this morning, but it's good. every one of us is busy, but we have it right in front of us. So thank you for that, and you tried to share it as well. And I like it that Deanna is making sure that we have the names of the emails of the speakers so that we can send it to them, and we have that available to us. So overall, great job, everybody. Very fun meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucille. All right, Deanna, you set for us? Close.
All right, so as far as grammarian, I didn't hear anything that was incorrectly used. As far as words that I did enjoy hearing, Devin, you used the word melancholy. And Anita, you said Vita and Vina. And you said that twice, so I was waiting for you to explain what they meant, but it was interesting that you used those two words, and I guess they're Latin words. You also use impassioned, and you also use vintners. Pat, I liked how you said, I'm worthy of help. That struck a chord with me. I thought that was a good use of words there. Lawrence, you said torpedoing, and you also said commence. Those are interesting words. And Stacy, you said intriguing. So thank you, you guys.
Thank you. And then finally, Angel, do you have anything for the Watcher report?
Yes, I love looking at all of you. You all look absolutely great. I can say that of everyone, Anita was looking the most into her camera, smiling and looking really interested. I can also say that when I'm most interested, I lean forward and I lean on my hand, I know, quite a bit. But Lisa, I saw you doing that as well, and I realized that it doesn't look good. It reminds me of all those kids. It actually makes us look bored when we're leaning on our hand. So although it's the opposite, that's maybe something we should all look out for. But thank you for all being there looking lovely. Deanna, you must be very busy because you were looking away an awful lot. Do you actually have a second screen over there to your right? Oh, okay, because it looks like you're not with us. That's the only thing I thought I'd point out. Thank you all for everything today. You were wonderful.
Thank you. All right, so now it's time for the awards of the day. So best speaker goes to Anita. Well done, Anita. And the evaluator goes to Jerry. Well done, Jerry. And then for table topics, we actually have a tie. So it's a tie between Pat and Anita, funnily enough, who are our speakers for the day. So well done, everybody. And with that, thank you for joining us, and we'll give it back to Deanna, our president.
All right, thanks everybody. Let me share the screen for next week. Okay, can you see that? Yes, okay. So please shout out what spot you want to take, what role you want next week, and give me your name and we can start filling it in. So we do need a table topics master. Shout out really loud. Unmute yourself and shout out.
I can do it. Table topic.
Pat,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay.
ET.
All right. Evaluator for the seal.
I can be evaluator.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, Stacey.
And evaluator number 2 for me.
Devin, I can take that one.
Awesome. Thanks, Devin. Counter.
I can do anything that doesn't involve writing things down. I can do speaking, but I can't use my arms, so no writing for me.
Let's have you be general evaluator.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. So we need counter and timer. Joke master, chat monitor, watcher. Going. Okay. Let's, Megan, was that you?
Yeah, but I'll do a joke master.
All right.
It's hard for me to do one of the functionaries while I'm taking notes.
I totally understand.
Okay.
We will definitely take Joke Master. Thank you so much. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you guys is I wanted to show you the events for tomorrow. Tomorrow is, so here you go to the D5TM if you want to find out what's going on. And tomorrow, the leadership session.
Yeah, I'm attending that one tomorrow.
Okay, great. Okay, I just wanted to show what the topics were, but I'm not able to find it quickly. So sorry about that. Okay.
You click on the calendar and click on the that link on the calendar. It will show you the setup.
Which link?
Okay, go down a little bit. The Prezi one. You can click on that one. It should show you the breakdown, but it's all also there.
Where's the Prezi one?
Go back up.
Go back up.
Yep. Okay. Stop. Go to.
Oh, right here.
Download. There you go.
Okay. Thanks. There, we get to all learn together.
And
so Prezi.
It will show you the, yes, there you go. The schedule.
Okay. Yeah. So tomorrow's session, you only practice on the days that you eat, and mindfulness during COVID-19, and then a simple approach to becoming a better speaker. So all really good topics. And if you only want to attend one, that's okay too. Just know that when you sign in, mute yourself, and that way it's not distracting.
Can I say, the keynote speaker, I've seen her when she's an accredited speaker. She's an accomplished pianist, an artist. And I did watch her when I was in Denver, because they have to compete to do their final presentation to become accredited speaker. She is fabulous. But at the Monday or the first meeting, she did play her piano a little bit, but because of the technology stuff like that, so it wasn't quite as good. But hopefully she'll get a chance to correct that, and hopefully she'll play the instrument again, because she is really excellent. I did enjoy her presentation back when we were in Denver.
I think there's only, what did they say, 8,700 accredited speakers in the entire world?
Something like that.
Something like that. It's an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have to compete, and not compete, but present so many levels until they become.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for adding that. Anybody have any announcements? Lawrence, you want to chime in and tell us what you thought of your first Expressions Unlimited Zoom meeting?
This was interesting. I must say, very interesting. In our regular meetings, I always had a hard time being able to see and understand what everyone was saying, with being hard of hearing. And in this format, especially the way that everyone is set up, I can actually see what you're saying, which makes it so much easier on me. I really appreciate that.
Nice. Thank you so much.
All the speakers were very, very clear. The technology seems to be working out for us. I really like the way that Stacy did the timer with the green background and the yellow background. Of course, I didn't see any red backgrounds, but I'm assuming that that's part of it as well. That's pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, this was fun. I missed you guys.
We missed you too. So we'll see you next week.
Hope so. That's the plan.
Lawrence, now I know. I remember who you are. You're with the deaf people, right?
Right.
Okay, now I know. Okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you